Hello and welcome. I hope that you are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We are going to talk about my first book for 2025. If you joined me in the January Reads video, then you know that this is the book I selected to fulfill the prompt to read a book that had winter elements on the cover. And that book is Snowdrowned by Jennifer D. Lyle. And I went into reading this thinking that it was a mystery. There is a mystery involved, but it's more of a combination of a mystery and a horror. And honestly, I was ready for something like that. So the story takes place on Fall Island. It is an inhabited island off the coast of Massachusetts. And it's a small island with one small city. And the city was founded when a landowner came over from England, Fitzwilliam Westcott. As the regional story goes, an angel appeared in a vision to Fitzwilliam Westcott and told him to gather a group of the faithful, get in a boat, and sail west until they hit land. The crossing was terrible. They encountered swells, they encountered storms, and finally a blizzard. And during the blizzard, when everyone was terrified, Fitzwilliam and his two sons went on the deck, tethered themselves to the ship, and they prayed. Blue fairy lights rose out of the ocean, paused in front of the ship like they were waiting for the ship to come with them, and then led them to the island. The book opens with something that happened 10 years in the past. A teen girl, Jenna, is terrified of the snow. So much so that she refuses to go outdoors in the winter. She won't even go to school. She has to be homeschooled during the winter months. And her problems with the weather began when she was young and she was outside with her cousins and they had built a tunnel through a snowbank. They convinced her to crawl through, but she got partway through and got stuck. And even though they could look in and see her, they wouldn't help her get out, and they just kind of giggled and ran off. Eventually, terrified, she was pulled out of the snowbank by her uncle, and ever since then she's been frightened of the snow. So during this storm, 10 years ago, Jenna disappears. And for generations, there have been stories on the island about snow. People going on winter camping trips that end in disaster. They either lose their toes or some of their fingers, or they're found naked in the snow while their unused tent is set up and ready to go with the sleeping bag in there. The one message everyone on the island learns is to be careful or the snow is going to get you. There are some noteworthy people on the island. There's Sister Frances. She was a Catholic nun and she was thrown out of the Catholic Church and now she lives alone on the island. The Sheriff Rick is Gracie's uncle and Rick is married to Judy. Stubby owns a restaurant, and honestly, it's the only restaurant worth eating at. And the Westcott family, the descendants of Fitzwilliam Westcott, still live on the island. Gracie also lives on the island with her parents, who are both doctors, and her sister. Interestingly, Gracie has nightmares about Jenna. Another storm is approaching, and it is about to produce a once-in-a-100-year snowstorm. As I said, Gracie's parents are both doctors. Her mom must go to the mainland to help a patient who is having a baby. Her dad is out on a visit. Gracie wants to go with her mom to the mainland, but her mom really wants her to stay so that her dad isn't alone. Her mom's family are islanders. They arrived on one of the ships with the Westcotts, not that first trip, but one of the successive trips. Gracie's dad is not from the island. He moved to the island after they were married. While her dad is out, Gracie goes to the cemetery to place flowers on her grandmother's grave. It's something that they do every Sunday. And while she's there, she has an encounter with Sister Frances. She's not allowed to talk to her. She's trying to get away from her, and Sister Frances wants her to come with her. Luckily, Gracie escapes because Joseph Westcott comes along, and he also has been there placing flowers on his ancestor's grave, so they kind of start talking, and she hangs out with him, and they notice something odd. Joseph's family's crypt, which should be closed, is open. And they go inside to make sure everything's okay, and they find a body. And on the body, there are symbols carved into it. When the police arrive, Rick sends Joseph and Gracie home. And he tells Grace that he's going to send his wife Judy to stay with her until her father comes home. But things aren't much better at the house. Gracie learns that the symbols are related to the religion that their families used to practice. In fact, there were symbols for things and there were symbols for families, and each of the families had their own symbol. The electricity goes out, and Judy and Gracie are both injured. Apparently, Joseph was very worried about Gracie, and he went home and he convinced his grandmother to let Gracie and Judy come stay at the estate with them until the weather gets better, figuring that it's the safest place. Here, Gracie gets some answers, but she also has a lot more questions. This is a fast-paced book, and as is the case with fast-paced books, some of the side characters aren't fully developed. The two main characters, especially, are multi-dimensional. And I will make you aware that the editors did miss some word problems, so there are some places where the wrong word is used, but if you can just ignore that happened, it's obvious what the word is really supposed to be. Snowdrowned, like I said, is fast-paced and atmospheric. From the opening scene till the very end, it's creepy tone and the story is going to draw you in. It's a young adult book, but it has some darkness, including murder, cultish organizations, and violence. And it's recommended for those age 15 and older. So be careful with the younger YA readers, or if any of these topics are triggers for you. What can you read for a similar experience? I have a few to tell you about. And they are going to be creepier books where the creepiness comes from somebody out to get the characters. And we're going to start with two books by Natalie D. Richards. First is 5 Total Strangers. And this one is more closely related to our main book in that it takes place in the winter. Mira needs to get home to spend the holidays with her mom, who has recently lost her sister. When Mira's flight is canceled, she agrees to go by car with someone she met on her first flight, and that person's friends. But as they're traveling, it becomes apparent that none of those other people know one another. They aren't friends at all. In fact, they are total strangers. And someone is out to get at least one of them. Could it be Mira herself? 49 Miles Alone, also by Natalie D. Richards. Two friends are going on a 4-day hike in the Utah backcountry. But after storm and illness and an injury, the hiking they've loved so much leaves them questioning themselves and short on supplies. They encounter a couple that seems friendly. But when they awake at night, the couple is arguing. And the girl in the couple comes running to their tent and tells them that she's scared. Then she runs off, but the guy goes with her and they think everything is okay. But when they wake up in the morning, the couple has vanished from the tent. The friends are sure that the girl is in danger. And since they are the only ones around and the only ones who can save her, they go after them, hoping that they will be in time. But with the clock ticking and supplies running out, will they make it? The next one is The Party by Natasha Preston. Our copy is checked out, but there are other copies in the system if you're in our system and you want to request it. A group of teenagers gather at a castle in the remote English countryside for a weekend of fun and games. One of them dies and the party takes a deadly turn. As the body count rises, the remaining partygoers are in a race to determine the identity of the killer before they become the next victims. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed this look at Snowdrowned by Jennifer D. Lyle. Now is the time where I need to select my next read, so we'll head over that way. Okay, we are doing this the same way that we have done it the past few times. Hopefully you can see everything all right. I've got the picture here again. There are still 3 snowflakes on there. On each of the snowflakes there is a prompt. I'm going to reach back, try not to look, feel for one. I got this one. And read a book new to you by an author that you like. So let me go find a new to me book by an author that I like. I found Such Charming Liars by Karen M. McManus. So I will be back in about a week when we will talk about this book and find out what the next prompt will be and what book we will read for that. Thank you so much for joining me here today to talk about Snowdrowned and other creepy mysteries. We'll be back, like I said, very soon in the next week. I hope you'll join me then, and if you have any thoughts on other books that I should consider reading, drop a comment below, and I will see you next time. And until then, I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.